The Cold War, a time of global superpowers locked in a silent existential struggle, an era defined by the nuclear threat, by spies in the shadows, and an arms race that pushed humanity to the brink. But beyond the bombs and the covert operations, another war was being waged, a secret war for the ultimate prize, the human mind. Driven by fear and a desperate quest for an edge, the United States Central Intelligence Agency embarked on a journey into the darkest corners of science and ethics. This is the story of Project MKUltra, a clandestine operation shrouded in secrecy for decades that sought to control human consciousness and in doing so, shattered lives and violated the very principles it claimed to protect. The year is 1953. The Korean War has left an indelible scar on the American psyche. Reports emerge of U.S. prisoners of war allegedly subjected to sophisticated mind-control techniques by their captors in the Soviet Union, China, and North Korea. Inside the fledgling Central Intelligence Agency, fear takes root. A terrifying question hangs in the air. What if our enemies could turn our own soldiers, our own citizens, against us? What if they possess the key to unlocking and manipulating the human mind? This paranoia, a hallmark of the Cold War, became the fertile ground for an unprecedented and deeply disturbing initiative. In April 1953, Project MKUltra was born. Its mandate to develop America's own arsenal of psychological weapons. The objectives of MKUltra were as ambitious as they were chilling. The program sought a truth serum to extract secrets during interrogations, methods to alter human behavior on command, and techniques so potent they could crush the human psyche, compelling individuals to confess or submit to control. The overarching ambition was nothing short of mastery over the human mind, a power that, in the context of Cold War rivalries, could translate into global dominance. For 2 decades, until its official halt in 1973, MKUltra would pursue these goals with a terrifying zeal. At the shadowy helm of the sprawling project was Sidney Gottlieb, a CIA chemist, a man of profound contradictions. Gottlieb was described as the agency's master magician and gentle-hearted torturer. He would personally direct brutal experiments across continents, develop deadly toxins for assassination plots against foreign leaders like Fidel Castro and Patrice Lumumba, all while cultivating a spiritual, rustic lifestyle. Gottlieb became the architect of MKUltra's darkest endeavors, driven by a fervent belief in the potential of mind control, a belief that would lead to unimaginable suffering. Central to MKUltra's early efforts was a then little understood psychedelic compound, lysergic acid diethylamine, or LSD. In the early 1950s, the CIA, through Gottlieb, acquired the world's entire supply of the drug. Their plan? To weaponize its mind-altering properties. LSD was administered to a staggering range of individuals: CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, government agents, but the experiment didn't stop there. The net was cast wider, ensnaring mental patients, prisoners, some coerced with promises of their drug of addiction, prostitutes, and chillingly ordinary members of the public. Often, these individuals had no idea they were part of an experiment. LSD was slipped into drinks at parties, administered in fake clinical settings, its effects observed in secret, transforming everyday social situations into unwitting laboratories. The line between subject and citizen was erased. But LSD was just one tool in MKUltra's arsenal. The program explored a horrifying pharmacopoeia, experimenting with THC, cocaine, heroin, and mescaline, and it delved into pharmacological methods designed to break the human will. Electroshock therapy, often at intensities far exceeding any justifiable medical practice, hypnosis, prolonged sensory deprivation and isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture, all meticulously documented, all in the pursuit of control. One of MKUltra's most notorious offshoots, Subproject 68, took root not in a clandestine CIA facility, but within the respected walls of McGill University's Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. It was run by Dr. Donald Ewin Cameron, an international renowned psychiatrist. Patients came to Dr. Cameron seeking help for conditions like anxiety or postpartum depression. Instead, they became unwitting subjects in his brutal experiments. Cameron developed psychic driving, where patients, often in drug-induced comas, were forced to listen to endlessly looped audio messages for up to 20 hours a day, an attempt to reprogram their personalities. Another of his techniques was deep patterning, the goal to erase existing memories and behaviors through a horrifying regimen of prolonged drug-induced sleep, along with massive doses of electroshock therapy, sometimes 67 times the average dose, along with more drugs. Esther Schreier was one such patient subjected to these treatments while pregnant. Bob Logie was another. The consequences for them and countless others were devastating and permanent. Profound memory loss, the inability to perform basic tasks, incontinence, severe psychological trauma. Lives and families were shattered. The involvement of a prestigious academic institution and a figure like Cameron highlights the insidious reach of MKUltra, implicating a wider network in its ethical atrocities and raising profound questions about institutional responsibility. Among the many dark sagas of MKUltra, the death of Frank Olson, a U.S. Army biochemist working on CIA projects, remains one of its most infamous and haunting. In November 1953, during a CIA retreat, Olson was covertly dosed with LSD, allegedly by Sidney Gottlieb himself. He wasn't informed about the drug until 20 minutes later. In the days that followed, Olson became severely distressed, reportedly telling his wife he had made a terrible mistake. 9 days after the drugging, Frank Olson plunged to his death from the 13-story window of the Hotel Statlier in New York City. The CIA swiftly ruled it a suicide, but the circumstances were deeply suspicious. A CIA doctor assigned to monitor Olson claimed to be asleep in the same room when Olson fell. For decades, Olson's family, led by his son Eric, refused to accept the official story, believing Frank may have been murdered, silenced because he knew too much, or was having second thoughts about the program's grim nature. In 1975, after MKUltra's existence began to surface, the Olson family received a $750,000 settlement and personal apologies from President General Ford and CIA Director William Colby. Yet questions lingered. A second autopsy in 1994, initiated by the family, raised further doubts about the suicide ruling. The definitive proof of homicide remained elusive. Frank Olson's death remains a chilling testament to the human cost and the lingering shadows of MKUltra. The full, horrifying truth of Project MKUltra might have remained buried forever. In 1973, as the Watergate scandal threatened to expose a web of government secrets, then CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files to be destroyed, a blatant attempt to erase history and evade accountability. But history has a strange way of resurfacing. Miraculously, a catch of approximately 20,000 documents survived, incorrectly stored in a financial records building. They were unearthed in 1977 following a Freedom of Information Act request. It was in 1975 that Project MKUltra was first dragged into the harsh light of public scrutiny. Landmark investigations by the Church Committee in the Senate and the Rockefeller Commission, appointed by the President, began to peel back the layers of secrecy. Relying on the surviving documents and the sworn testimony of some participants, these investigations revealed the illegal domestic operations and experimentation on unwitting American and Canadian citizens, and the profound ethical bankruptcy at the heart of the program. The Church Committee was unequivocal, stating that prior consent was obviously not obtained from any of the subjects, and that drugs were used for harassment, discrediting, or disabling purposes. For the victims of MKUltra and their families, the revelations were just the beginning of a long, painful journey. The experiments inflicted profound, lasting, and often intergenerational trauma. Survivors like Esther Schreier and Bob Logie, and the family of Phyllis Goldberg, who endured Cameron's experiment, along with the Olsons, have fought for decades for recognition, for apologies, for compensation. Their struggles highlight the immense difficulty individuals face when confronting the power of the stake and seeking justice for abuses hidden for so long. Their stories are the human heart of MKUltra, a stark reminder of the real people whose lives were damaged by these Cold War experiments in mind control. Project MKUltra is not just a dark chapter of Cold War history. It echoes powerfully today. It stands as a chilling monument to the dangers of unchecked government power operating under a cloak of impenetrable secrecy, fueling contemporary debates about surveillance, the accountability of intelligence agencies, and the delicate balance between national security and individual liberty. The systematic abuse of science and medicine, treating human beings as disposable guinea pigs without their informed consent, resonates in current discussions about the ethics of human experimentation and the potential for knowledge to be weaponized. The documented, proven facts of Project MKUltra, a government program that involved covert drugging, psychological torture, and attempts at mind control, provide a disturbing reminder that sometimes the unimaginable can be true. It helps explains the roots of the public distrust and the enduring appeal of narratives that question official accounts. The CIA's secret quest for control, Project MKUltra, ultimately failed to unlock a magic key to the human mind, but it succeeded in leaving a legacy of shattered lives, broken trust, and profound ethical questions that continue to demand answers. The mind readers of MKUltra sought to control others, but in doing so, they revealed a disturbing capacity for abuse within the halls of power. Remembering their victims and the chilling scope of their ambition is not just an act of historical reflection, but a vital safeguard for the future, for the war over the mind, in many forms, may not be truly over. If you found this interesting, please like, subscribe, and share it to help others discover Pass Forward.